Amen. I would love to go to Africa. I have some places on my hit list. Senegal, Nairobi, Kenya, Ghana, Africa, Johannesburg, Africa, and Lagos, Nigeria. Those are on my hit list to visit. But they ain't my home. I love America, brother. I love to go and visit and enjoy it, come back and tell you the story. But listen to me, I love me some America in its crazy self. As crazy as America is and as ridiculous as America is, I love me America. You know what it is for you to have an American passport and get on a plane and you can go to any man's country without a question? But they to come to your country, America, they have to go through hell? Where are you from, brother? When you came to America, did you just get on a plane and just grab your African passport? You went to hell to get here, right? I'm from an island called Nevis. I had to go through a process called green card application for me to get here. But you as an American, can just get your green passport, get on the plane, and come to my country and eat my mangoes. Are you hearing me, somebody? Huh? But I have to go through all kinds of things to come here. And I better be good looking enough to get approved. Number 9 says you're going to be victimization, oppression, suppression. Look at verse 10. Then I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of holiness, and they were forgotten in the city where they had so done. This also is vanity. See that phrase, this also is vanity? Solomon is saying, man, that bothered me. You know what he's saying in verse 10? I've seen the rich, the famous, the important, the educated, the president, the Mr. Big Bucks. The guy who was so respected in his city, in his community, in his field of work, so respected. He said, I've seen them all come and gone. Come and gone. And he said, that bothered me. Doesn't matter how well known you are, how popular you are. They can have your funeral in the stadium to accommodate the crowd. The day after the funeral, a week after, everybody forgot about you. They'll speak well of you. They'll even cry. But a week later, life goes on. And Solomon is saying, how can I had such influence? I made it to the top of the success ladder. Now I'm dead and gone. You don't come to my grave every day to say how much you miss me? Solomon said, that bothered me. That is showing us that as important as we think we are, we ain't that important. Death levels the playing field. Are you hearing me? In life, you can't sit at the front with some people because of their status, and you don't have the money to buy the ticket. But I'll tell you one thing, we all end up in the same place, the cemetery. I don't care how big they build your tombstone, you're still in the dirt. And you still succumb to death. Look at verse 11. Hey, remember I said earlier, everything in life can be found in this book. I'm going to show you another one. Verse 11. Because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. I want you to read it slow with me and understand it. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. You know what that is saying? It says, because. So here's a question I want to pose to you and answer for you. You know the question people are always asking? Why why all this wickedness and evil around? And it continues. I'll answer it for you today. And Solomon answered it for us, but let me break it down for those of you who don't have your glasses. Solomon said, because the sentence, meaning punishment, is not given out, meted out to the man who rapes, kills, steals, and do all manner of wickedness, murder. He says, because he was not punished, he was not arrested, he was not caught, he was not put in jail or prison. He says, because of that, and because of that, hear what he says, because of that, because of an evil work, he says, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. You know why people continue to do evil? They figure, my friends didn't get caught. I know the man who killed the man down the street. He's still out and he's still wearing, Brooks Brothers suits. I know who raped the girl who was 14. He's still on the job. As a matter of fact, he's a cop still. He's a corporal. He's a sergeant. I know who broke up the man's home, stole the man's wife from his from her husband. I know it is the judge down the street. I know who kills. I know who they are. And they are on the street still. So because they're on the street still, the other gangster is saying, I can do the same and get away. Hear what Solomon is saying. Remember, everything in life can be found in this book. So if you're wondering and concerned about why they have not caught the person yet who did the wrong, that means somebody dropped the ball. That means the justice system, the criminal justice system, is not up to par. Look what it says. Because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, meaning, listen, that means it can be known and it cannot be known. Meaning the justice system have a clue or know who did it or don't know who did it. Because hear what Solomon says, because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, meaning if you don't deal with the matter right away, people are going to continue to do evil and think they can get away like everybody else. That's why evil is continuing today, because people believe not everybody is getting caught. Hear me carefully. If you address the wrong right away, as we say in the ghetto, nip it in the bud. When you have something trying to raise its ugly head, what do we say? Nip it in the bud. You're saying deal with it early o'clock. Yes. You're saying if you don't deal with it early o'clock, it's going to come back to haunt you. If you don't deal with a situation that can turn worse, if you just overlook it, turn the blind eye, pretend like you don't see it. You don't want to upset anybody. You don't want anybody to just don't like you, so I'm just going to let it slide. One thing I am known for, if I see it, I'm going to tell you. They can tell you at the house. I have rules at the house. I love my nephews. I love my niece. Oh, I love them. I love them. But there are times they have to see the bulldog side of me if they don't comply with my rules. And my rules are not to hurt them, not to say I don't like you. My rules are to save them. Punishment is not to cause people to be hurt or to shame them. Punishment is designed to better us. Help us not to repeat the same dumb thing, the same wickedness, the same evil. And Solomon is saying, because the problem was never dealt with. If you have your child talking back to you and you don't deal with it right away, it's okay. They woke up on the bad side this morning. They talk back to you at home. I promise you, they'll talk back to you when you have to go to school in front of the whole staff. They'll talk back to you. And they'll embarrass you. Because they know at home you're scared of them. If you listen, he says, because the sentence against, this is not only about evil in the world, it's also at our house. If we don't put our children in check, you're going to have a big problem. If you're a supervisor on the job and you're afraid of those who are under you, you don't deserve that position. That's not for you. You're weak. You're a wimp. You're a jellyback. Move out of the way. Go be a janitor at the job. Is anybody hearing me at all, man? I've known leaders who say, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want people to get mad at me. Who put you in that position? Because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, meaning you got to deal with the situation right away. If you don't deal with it right away, you know what's going to happen? They'll do it again because they realize you didn't do anything about it yesterday. You give them a mile, an inch, they'll take a mile.
Amen. Right, that's right.
All this crime constantly, repeatedly, and it's getting worse and worse. You know why? Because it seems like nobody's getting caught and going to jail or prison to pay for it. So people continue to do it. When I was a cop, we had this phrase: you may get away 99 times, but that one time I'll catch you. You may go and you may do it 99 times and get away scot-free, but I promise you, God is alive, and I promise you one day judgment will catch you. And a lot of people know that the justice system is sound asleep. You see, the justice system can wake up and do a better job and punish those who are doing crazy stuff and making our communities unsafe and making people be scared if it happens to them.
That's right.
If their son got murdered, if their daughter got raped, they'll wake up. Until it hits home, they'll wake up. They won't wake up unless it hit home. Look, because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, right away, deal with the problem, nip it in the bud. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil, meaning people continue to do evil because they know, I'm going to get away and nobody's doing anything. And I said earlier, it's not only in life, in the community, on the job, in the home. I have a belt. I'm gonna share some things because I want to help us and help you that are watching. Disciplining your children doesn't mean you don't like them. Disciplining your children means you're trying to keep them on the right path. You remember your mistakes and you saying, I've been there, so let me, son, daughter, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. It's not that I don't like you. Like this one, he thinks I don't like him because I'm hard on him. Because, let me say this before I say this. Anytime I use my family as an example, as I'm about to do right now, is not to shame my family, because I know my family won't leave the church when I use them. If I use him, he may never come back. He ain't got nowhere to go but to my house. And it's also to show you that as a preacher, I have issues at my house just like you have issues at your house. The devil is at my house as he is at your house. No, the devil has no respect of persons. His job is out to wreck every home, the preacher's home and your home. If you don't physically spank them, there are ways still to discipline them. So when I was being raised, we didn't have phones and tablets and TV, and we were poor. We didn't have nothing like go in the corner, time out. Turn your face to the wall. When David was younger and my mother told him to go in the corner and face the wall, my God, if you came to the house, you would think that guy was on starvation for a week. You would think he just got a whooping for an hour. David didn't like to be in the corner for an hour or whatever time. David would cry. All my mom had to say, go in the corner, turn to the wall. He cried. If you don't physically whoop them with a belt, there are things you can do as a form of punishment. Every child in the home has a phone or a tablet. You take that away from them, you took away their life.
That's right. That's right.
Their phone is their world. And let me say this to you and help you who are here and those of you that are watching. The reason why you don't spank your children, the reason why you don't discipline your children, because here's your rationale. Here's your concern. Here's your rationale. You believe that they will grow up to just dislike me. And they won't, when I get old, they won't come to the house to look for me. Let me tell you something. See my mother who just died a year ago, next week, make a year. See, some of you don't know my mom, like Shannon does. You don't know my mom. My mom, those of you who knew her, oh, the sweetest, charming lady. People told me I got my smile from my mommy. Thank God for mommy. Thank you, mommy, for the smile. Charming lady. But when she was raising her 4 babies, here's my description of my mom. She was Fidel Castro, Saddam Hussein, and Adolf Hitler in one package. She did not play. My mom did not play. If I were to shave my head bald right now, I'll tell you all the spots in there where my mom busted my head before. And guess what I did? My mom lived with me until she died. I took care of my mommy. Because if my mom was not the mother she was to me and was not afraid to discipline me, there would be no O.D. Joseph, there would be no Paradise in our Embassy Fellowship Center, there would be no preacher. I would have never been in the army, I'd never been a cop, never had my 4 degrees, I would have been in somebody's jail, or I would have been in the grave a long time ago. But that lady kept me on the right path. She was not afraid. She let me know, I am not afraid of you. You can be tall like a coconut tree. Boy, I'll bring you to the floor.
Yes.
And when I do something wrong when I was little and I try to run all day, she always tell me, listen to me, chicken have to come to the tree at the end of the night. You can run all day, you got to come to this house in the night. And when the night comes, I prepare myself. I put on 3, 4, 5 pants and she says, strip, take them off. And she would whoop my behind. No, doesn't matter how late it is in the night. You can scream, you can yell. She would give it to me. And all of that helped me to be who I am today. If my mom never did that, I would not be who I am today. I would have been on the wrong path. And you think I'm going to say, well, hey, I'm not going to take care of you. You whooped me when I was a baby. Come, mommy, I appreciate you. Thank God. I wish you can still whoop me all now. My mom gave it to me. She gave it to me. If you don't whoop them, I personally, I don't like to whoop my heartbeat, David. I don't like to. I don't like to. I try not to whoop David. He's my heartbeat. But I find ways to discipline him. There has to be rules at your house. And they must be complied by those who live there. I got on a plane the other day. I was going somewhere in a plane. At that time, the mask enforcement was still intact. The pilot came over the intercom while we were seated on the plane. The pilot let us know, I am Captain so-and-so. And he says, my host, what do they call them here, flight attendants. He said, whatever they tell you to do, I want you to comply with them. The pilot made it known, I want you to comply. The man was letting us know he's in charge of this plane. And whatever they said to you, I want you to comply. I'm on the plane. I don't like the mask. The mask is not my thing. And I had the mask on because I had to be on the plane to get where I'm going. And I had to wear that dumb thing. So sometimes I'll pull it down a little bit over my nose so I can breathe. And the flight attendant will come by and she'll do this. And I have to just be obedient, bring it back up. Because I know if I don't do it, I heard the captain already said, you better comply. I'll put your butt off my plane. Are you hearing me? I'm on the people's plane. It's not my plane. I had to comply. I'm driving a point home. Solomon is telling us here, if we don't address things that are not in order and things where there is no structure and kids or children or employees or people, citizens who want to fight against law and order, we're going to have a crazy world, crazy homes, crazy society. He says, wherever sentence means punishment or addressing a situation, disobedience, you're going to have chaos. At my house, I have a rule. If it doesn't belong on the floor, pick it up. If it doesn't belong there, move it. Anybody hearing me? What are you doing? I'm training them so when they get their own place and their own children, they were trained, they were taught. This generation who never had that, you go to their home is a wreck because nobody ever trained them, so they don't know how to train their own kids now. They don't know how to maintain a room. They don't know nothing about it. Listen to me. I told him the other day, I said, I'm the king of the hill in this house. Meaning I'm the boss. Anybody here? I'm the king of the hill at this house. I told him the other day, he has a hard time following instructions. So I told him the other day, I got close to him and said, listen to me. I'm not grandma who died. I'm not your mom. I'm Uncle O.D. There's a difference. When I use my family, I'm showing you that I have the devil trying to come to my house too, not only your house. I have a rule at my house. They have to get up 15 minutes earlier than when they usually get up. And here's the rule. As soon as you wake up, you pray. Yes. Second, you make a bed. You fold your blankets neat and nice. You go to the restroom, clean your face, brush your teeth. 4, you go to the table and you read the Bible for 5 minutes and mark where you finish off so you pick it up the next day. And I check. I check. I would get up when they think I'm not checking. I make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. What am I doing? Training. Because if I don't, they're going to grow up and leave the house and they're going to have no clue in life what life is about. Solomon is telling us if we don't do what we're supposed to do with our children, if we don't do what we're supposed to do as managers and supervisors and bosses on the job to those who are under us, we're going to have a problem. If law enforcement is always being challenged and people don't like law and order, I'm telling you, we're going to have a crazy society. As much as you don't like the police, you still have to call the police when the criminal is coming after you. Why don't you call your uncle instead? You don't like the police. Why call the police? Call your uncle. Anybody hearing Odie? And I'm not only defending the police because I was a police, and I'm not only speaking from the position of a former cop. I'm only showing you that as much as we don't like, because sometimes cops do dumb things. And those who do, I worked with cops. That's one of the reasons I resigned from the cop. Because the same ones can kill you. If they feel like you are walking too much of a straight line, they'll find a way to get rid of you as a cop. Your own co-workers. I was there, I'm telling you. If they don't like you and they think you're going somewhere, they'll get rid of you. I was a spiritual advisor to one of the politicians there who was running to be governor, and we became very close. And other cops began to, he's trying to get in the government house, and that's where he's going, because I was close to the guy who was running for governor. When I was getting ready to resign, some of them who knew me and admired me, they said, I want you to stay, and why don't you go in the area of becoming a detective? Some wanted me to stay to be the police, what do they call that? Representative for the police. I forget what they call that. But I said, it's over for me. Because once people believe that you are walking too much of a straight line, I've heard stories of too many cops were taken out when they snitch on other cops for doing wrong. But a society that fights against law and order, supervision on the job, children who challenge the parents at the house. I was at the school the other day. I went to school because of something for him. And this guy came in to pick up his daughter. Why did he come to pick his daughter up? The daughter was dressing too inappropriate for school. And they decided to send her home, and he came. And he's there talking and running his mouth. And I mean, usually I don't butt in, but I had to say something that morning because he's there, I say, no, that's a problem.